Hello, one and all. This is Luckless LoveLocks, and welcome back to Virtue's Last Reward, everybody. So I took a little bit of a break. I got some coffee just to wake myself up a little bit to continue on with the adventure, and I had a chance to look at the timeline image, the jumps or whatever that we're supposed to take, old and young. So I'm gonna pop it up on the screen here so you can see. And after looking at it, I realized after we get stabbed, I assume that's what happens. We are at C there at the top, 2074, 01, 27. And we are meant to then jump back around to D, which is 45 years before we wake up in the AB room. So this is the 45 years where presumably we work on the project, now that we're aware of it. So it's our young consciousness in our young body working on the project, being aware of it. And then we are going to work on it, I guess, until B. And then we become old us, right? And then we are going to jump back to the Nevada test site, it looks like, and work our way to E. And then that is where we're going to stop the virus. And we're going to go off on that right path. So presumably, we're still not done the game. That was just Phi's ending. I probably shouldn't have waited through the credits, but that means I don't have to do it at the end. We've already done it once. So that wasn't a real ending. I was kind of like, maybe that's the ending. And we're going to get like the real ending now, but it's not. So if I'm correct, this should be April 13th, 2029. Headquarters, April 13th, 2029. And I am correct. Okay. All right. We're all on the same page. Everyone's got it. Let's continue the craziness. How much longer is this going to go on? Not that I'm complaining. I love it. I just, it's nuts that like this game has ended so many times. But I guess it's to be expected. It's Zero Escape, right? Is that a pod on the left? Or sink?
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room, until with a click, it disappeared too. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was that presumably at C, our older self is going to jump into our dying body. Or possibly our older self will jump into the clone. That's the clone's for. I don't know, though. There's just like so many different possibilities. Like, presumably we die because we get stabbed, or maybe not. Maybe we survive our old body. Anyways. The roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room until with a click, it disappeared too. Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. You. That outfit looks familiar. Akane?
It looks like the first step was successful.
What the fuck? You killed me!
Killed?
I guess technically you're going to kill me 45 years from now, but still!
Hey, no need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine.
Oh, okay. I'm okay?
Yes. You and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Okay, so Phi also. See, I thought the point of all this was to create a bond with Phi so that that would be the crisis, right? But I guess we don't really know what her part is yet. In the end, why does she have to jump with us? Me and Phi.
Yes. I only told you about you, but we also needed Phi to jump.
Ah, there we go.
Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon?
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029.
Jesus.
We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle.
So we've gone in like less, well, I mean, it was 36 hours, but for us, it was like less than a day from the going through all of these different paths in this death game to going to the moon, traveling back in time and then going to the moon. Okay.
Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Alice and Clover, right?
Yes.
What about the third one? Who's in there?
Phi. We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago.
Is that who I guessed was in the pods?
She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who jumped from point C, though. It was Phi before she jumped from point A to point D.
She jumps from point A to point D. So she's not aware of this at all, I guess.
In other words, she was following the same path you are, and she still is.
And that means that after you froze her, the point C version of her jumped back into her body?
Yes. The point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod.
Okay.
She'll stay there for the next 45 years. Sleeping in ice.
That's why she recognizes us right away. Oh, she knows our name. Huh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. It's just like there's so many things. Like, this is complicated. And, you know, there's a lot. Then when she gets to point B, after her consciousness will jump to point A, right? Okay.
Correct.
Oh, right, because we're at D right now. Okay. Huh? So that's why she didn't look old. So why don't you just stick me in one of those pods?
We can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out?
I'm slow, okay? If we met, I'm Sigma. By the way, there's no way Sigma, based on what we've seen, he's got a good memory. There's no way I believe that he could put together this project, all right? I guess he didn't, right? Akane did all the work.
You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project.
Okay, he does work on it. It's like, I don't believe he's smart enough to do it.
After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph.
Lagomorph is a Zero Junior. Kyle is the clone of us.
And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074.
Okay, let's B.
You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room.
Oh, wow, we actually carry her there, too.
Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out.
This is so crazy.
And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
So do I have to play this game for another 45 years? And then I change history? Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die.
Couldn't we had the cure, right? Don't we have the knowledge of the cure? Couldn't we just create it? Let the thing happen and then just be prepared to spread the cure to everyone?
Only you and Phi can save them.
What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
So, what do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Phi and I jump to point A, what are we going to do then?
You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
What?
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Oh, crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility. Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger.
So, if we fail at the test site, then we're gonna go back to our dead body. If we succeed, we're gonna go to this other timeline. I wonder if there's gonna be like a choice to make and we'll get to decide which way to go.
But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Or maybe the one where we fail, that's like the regular end, and then the secret end is the one where we pass the other timeline. Wait, how do you know it's so dangerous?
The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So I suppose you could say you told me after you failed.
What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point, a woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake and lost your arms and your right eye.
That's why we have the arms. My arms and my right eye? What the hell? Oh, man. What the hell? Exactly. Okay. Right, because we're past, we've never experienced this part in our consciousness. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the building. There's the explosions. What was that?
Go have a look.
I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon, I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly toward the sky. ... Would we really be able to change the course of history? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself. I would succeed. All right, who in the comment section thinks that Sigma can actually pull this off? The end or beginning. Fire and ice achievement. Crazy. Oh no, there's wait. Okay, so that was wait a second. So that was our so then we'd go to B. Oh, which is here? Jumpstart. This is so cool. I love this. Or we go hold on. Infirmary another time. If we're following the timeline, this is where we should go next, right? We should go to B, and then we end up jumping back to A, which would be before this. But what's this? This would be after... This would be our old self, right? Jumping back after we failed. I'm just curious to see what happens when we do this. Oh no, because this is actually going back to like A, right? Yeah. Okay, let's... Past after escape. Right. Okay, let me think about this again. So we were at C. And then we jump back to D. There should be like something in between. There should be something in between these two. But I guess we just jump over that? We just skip over the time? Where we're working on the project? Okay. Infirmary, another time. Maybe this is that. This is supposed to represent that.
Where?
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle?
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. I wiped it off with my sleeve, and my reflection stared back at me. You couldn't have done that before! This is what I'm talking about! Sink was too stupid to do any of this. Kyle, though, on the other hand. I guess he becomes Kyle, right? So now we're playing as the... We're playing as the clone now. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question. One I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Climb was. In another history, he had been called K and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently, he'd worn it his whole life. Or worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure, and he had consequently grown very attached to her. I knew everything about him, but even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Klim? Climb? I keep wanting to say Klim, but it's Climb, I believe. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Climb in his younger days. I looked down. There was Dio still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
Okay, so this is C.
Today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
So one thing is that Kyle is doing, like, we're not reading out Kyle, right? Kyle's voice acting for himself, but we are reading the thoughts. So we're not Sigma's consciousness here.
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an effect.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Why
right,
am
he
I
wasn't
here?
actually stabbed, she said. It's the butt of the knife.
The doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the doctor is Sigma Climb, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes. I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas.
This is really cool, by the way. I like this.
Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh, right. Mr. Climb.
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Climb now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You aren't gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not gonna change. In fact, it's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survived to reach their destination, happy and healthy, and they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories, friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it.
Tell him, Jumpy.
Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, all right? You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
That voice actor, is that who I think it is?
No. It's not going to happen.
For Kyle?
We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh! Then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
Aww.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Bye, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see them again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course. He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here. She's not anywhere.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we're completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand. But
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028. They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
It's so funny that they're using this other story when they could just be using the example. Like, I think we know, people should understand.
Are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
Wouldn't, I was going to say, wouldn't Alice be able to jump? She could be taught to jump, right? But I guess she would have to go through all the stuff that Sigma and Phi went through. But she did. So, yeah.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different? How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have 2 Clovers and 2 Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's
Cat.
Oh, hey, Kyle. Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
This is strange, isn't it?
Sure.
I'm not sure if I should be doing this now or if I missed something. Like,
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind.
I guess that's also why we never heard why Sigma isn't voiced, because we'd hear this voice, right?
I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a merman or a wolfman.
Wait. We've heard this before, haven't we?
I'm not a Brahmin or Kamen or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Please don't dodge the question.
Did she say that before?
About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct? Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029.
So she went from C to D also. Okay. So are we traveling exactly the same path? Oh my god. My head.
On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then
right, but
you
she
were
was
in
asleep,
cold
right.
sleep. You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body.
So the mind that was in there should have jumped to this point?
That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Unfortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor. That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor. It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
So the idea is like Sigma is the consistent thing in this cycle, and she is the one that's going to take them down that other path. And she's, I guess, she's the X factor. She's the one that's going to decide whether they go to the right or straight ahead to failure, or to the right and success, probably.
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation. Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. You see what I'm saying? In most situations, it works, even if it isn't technically correct. So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So is that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history. There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of Point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red.
Jesus.
The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear. You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
So I guess we're going to find out his role in all this.
I shall give you your answer.
Okay.
You are not Kyle Climb.
Jesus Christ. I'm definitely going to hell after this series because I keep taking the Lord's name in vain, but it's worth it.
Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not. Think about it. Do you really believe you are Kyle? Or could you be someone else
We're
entirely?
Matt Mercer. That's who I thought maybe the voice actor was. Kind of sounds like him.
Then where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered. Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028.
So the clone's consciousness has gone back?
His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told the others, that Kyle was Dr. Clime's spare. But that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the Doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space.
Who's the body?
You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system.
What the fuck?
As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too. You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past.
Is this supposed to be like the player? Is that what this is supposed to represent?
Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth?
So is it like, is the idea that like...
Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Is it like, are they supposed to be saying that like the clone's consciousness has entered like our real life body?
Well, yes,
I
do.
hope so. I'm playing this on the wrong date though. I should have waited a few more years.
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine. Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
Let's go! I knew Sigma couldn't do it. Told you. Alternative end. Achievement unlocked a certain point of view. Okay. Alternative end. I've got nowhere else to go. So is this the... I have no idea. Is this where I have to unlock the secrets? Another time. End. Phi's end. I guess so. I mean, I don't see any other. Or do I jump? Do I jump to here? No. Yeah. Jump start. Anyways, I'm going to wrap up this episode here and try to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do. So we're up to 45 minutes anyways. Thank you so much for watching. My mind is just like, cannot process all this. There's a lot. I'll see you on the next one after I spend some time figuring out what I'm supposed to do. I'll consult my experts, but I'm getting the impression that this is the point where I need to get the secrets. We'll see though. This is Luckless LoveLocks signing off for now. I'll see you on the next one, and I love you all.